Hello all, today I am showcasing to you Gigawatt Energy Revolution, and this is brought to us by the same guys who brought us Gigawatt. Now this is a quicker 2 to 4 player game and it's lower complexity as well, and it's all about card management in this one. So you can see we have got a sort of 2-player setup here, and we've got a deck of cards, we've got our electricity demand here which starts on 10, you've got your own nation here, and you've got gas and a coal station to begin with, which accumulatively add 5 each of electricity, which combines to make 10, which is why your starting pawn is there. Now the whole aim of the game is to try and move away from these dirty fuel stations and have renewable energy sources powering your nation. And at that point, if you have more production than demand and you can survive the weather, then you've won the game. And first to do so is the winner. Now, what are you going to do then? So first player is going to have 1 card, second player 2 cards, all the way up to 4 players who would have 4 cards. And on your first sort of part of the phase, you're going to play actions by playing cards. Now an action in the 2-player game, you start with 2 actions, and cards will have typically a red cross on them, and that is a cost, which is, for example, 1 action or 2 actions, depends on the card. You can see this nuclear station here has 2 red crosses, so that's going to be pretty much all of my actions to put that card down. So you can also have some cards which will have a green cross on, which is actually going to gain you an action for this round, and I cannot find any, but maybe one will come out shortly. So yeah, keep an eye on your actions. You start with 2, you can potentially gain more as well. So what we're going to actually spend then, so we've got 1 card to begin with the first player. Are we going to put this card down and build it? We're building nuclear power. You can see the energy we are going to gain. So we'll play this one. We're going to go at 3, 1, 2, 3. It's going to cost us a card. I can't actually play that card because we've only got the 1. So be mindful of the costs with the cards there. Sometimes you actually gain a card. Now if you do gain a card, you put it face down next to you and you'll gain that into your hand as such at the end of this turn. If you can't actually do anything, you can't build, you can just pick up a card for one of your actions, and again you place it down here. So you can play cards, you can pick up cards, but you've only got 2 actions there. Now eventually, once you've played your cards, you're going to roll the demand dice, which is sort of phase 2 of your turn. You roll this, and that die ranges from 0 to 2. And you basically move the demand the right number there. Now, if the demand is higher than your electricity you can provide, you are going to have to pay a card per level you are behind. So if you can't afford that from your hand, then all other players gain 1 card. If you did have solar power, which you can see we've got here, or wind, you are going to have to roll these weather dice. So for solar, for example, you'd roll this dice here, and if it is a bright sunshine, excellent, you are getting enough energy from your solar panels. If it is half energy, then you're having to pay a card per solar panel out there from your hand, and again, if you can't do so, all the opponents gain 1. And that's the same for the wind, but you're rolling this blue dice or purple dice here, and equally having to pay the cost. So once you've done that, you replenish with 2 cards, add them to the cards you might have attained during a round, and then this is your hand for the future round. Play passes to the next player. They're going to do the same things. They're looking at their hand going, right, which cards am I going to play? Maybe I'm going to play this biomass. And obviously, they'd have their own area and nation somewhere else. They pay the 1 action. They now bump up their energy by a 1, and they've got biomass. So you've got a host of things in here. You've got nuclear, which is a bit more consistent, like the biomass, but nuclear, as we've shown you, costs you both your actions, and you actually have to spend a card to do so. Whereas the solar and the wind are a bit more inconsistent dependent on these dice. Now, there's not a million sort of different variations in here, but there's a good selection. You've got things like this symbol here gives you flexibility. So in this case, you will cost you 1 action, you gain a card straight away, and you will pay 1 card less after rolling the demand dice there. And this is recurring, which is kind of nice. You have got, a good selection of the actual renewable energy. You've got nuclear, solar, wind, biomass, and what we're missing, we've got hydro here as well. So you've got energy efficiency, reduce the demand pawn by 1 and discard this card. So symbology is really nice. It tells you to discard it, or it's recurring. And is there anything here? Closing auctions then. So you can see this actual card, you can play 1 per turn, and it's actually got no action cost. And when you play this, you are declaring an auction, and that is how you're going to try and remove your dirty fuel stations here. So you're going to make a bid then, and this is from the cards in your hand. Maybe you bid 2, next player goes, because everyone is involved. They're like 3, and then it comes back to 4 cards, everyone else has passed. You spend those 4 cards face up to the discard pile, and you can remove one of these. Now, the disadvantage is you're obviously going to go back on your power by 5 because the accumulative figure of here should match there. And you kind of have to do this at some point, because to win the game, you're going to need to get rid of 2 of these through those closing auctions, and you need to have renewable sources that are higher, and when they are higher than the current demand, and you've rolled these dice and you've managed to pay the number of cards. If that's the case, you win the game. If not, you just continue until you can achieve that. So yeah, everyone keeps going. There's lots of variety here. It's all about that card management. You've got a selection of things here, as I've just shown you. And it's just about being uber efficient with those cards and making sure at the right time when you do a closing auction, you have enough cards to try and win that. Because if someone else is like, yes, I haven't managed to find a closing auction, they're going to be hoarding them cards and stealing yours. But pretty straightforward. Yep, you're just playing those actions, 2 actions here. You get 3 actions in a higher player count. If you can't, build anything, you're taking the cards, which is great as well, because it's developing your hand, giving you more options to build more infrastructure. There's some cards like storage as well, which gives you an extra card recurring from round to round, which is really nice. So lots to like here, definitely more streamlined than the Gigawatt version. And there we are, that's Gigawatt Energy Revolution. Enjoy.